Welcome, friends. My name is Silas Ollegario, and I'm the host of Think Onward, a podcast about books, studies, productivity, and lifestyle. Now, after the intro. Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I don't know when you're listening to it, but I just know that you are, and that makes me very happy and glad. It's Wednesday again. Right now, it's 8:42 p.m., Wednesday, July 7th. That's the moment I started the recording of this podcast, this episode. You know, normally I try to record it on Tuesdays or Mondays maybe, but lately my life has been so crazy. My wife, not just me, our lives here at home, my wife Rebecca and I, we are going through a makeover. And when we say makeover, we mean we are remodeling the house. If you have been through this kind of change, you know, buying new flooring and painting all the walls and buying new furniture, you know how crazy these things are and how expensive and how demanding and how it takes so much of our energy. But one of the things I believe, and you know that I believe in consistency, and I believe in doing consistently. Consistency means doing something consistently. And every Wednesday, the new episode of this podcast is supposed to be online. So I'm recording in 15, 17 minutes. Is going to start a transmission online of NHL games, Game 5, Montreal Canadiens against Tampa Bay Lightning. As good future to be soon to be Canadians. Although we're gonna live in Calgary, and Calgary Flames are gonna be our team officially soon. I'm still going and cheering for Canada at this. Although I have to be honest, Tampa Bay Lightning, the team is so much better. They deserve to be back-to-back champions. That's for sure. But I'm not gonna stop cheering for the Canada. For the Canadian team. So that's it. Go Canadiens. And yeah, that's it. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're enjoying life. And at this moment you're listening to this, I don't know what you're doing, if you're going for a walk, if you're taking the subway, or just driving to work or from work, or just at the supermarket waiting in line, the treadmill at the gym. I always say the treadmill, right? It makes you think that I use the treadmill, but I actually don't. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that is being part of my life for the past, officially, for the last, no, let me rephrase that. It's been part of my life for the past 13 to 14 years, which is English. And officially now back again, being part of my life for the past 2 weeks. As maybe you don't know, English is not my first language. I'm from Brazil. This podcast is a Brazilian guy speaking. Although I'm soon to be Canadian, I'm still Brazilian. But I decided to have this podcast in English just as much as I have my YouTube channel in English, 100% in English. Because English is the language I love, is the language I really enjoy speaking. And although it's my second language, I don't know, it kind of... I like to express myself in English, It kind of feels good, speaking. I don't know if you can listen to some kids screaming in the background because some restrictions now here in my building have been loosed again, and now the kids are just playing downstairs, and it's actually fun to see life coming back to things here in Brazil again. Anyway. And I want to talk about English and about learning English and about studying English and speaking English and listening to English and etc. Because I'm officially again an English teacher. In Brazil, we call English teachers, although I'm officially an English instructor because I haven't studied to be an English teacher, or I have been working with this for the past 13 years, as I told you. But now I'm a pre-med. I'm a pre-med student at the University of Calgary. Oh my God, starting my first term at U Calgary now next September. Hopefully everything will be fine. The visa office here in Brazil for the Canadian student visa are going fast. Finally, they started processing the visa applications from March, and I do have like a month until I need the visa here approved, so I can go send my documents and my passport to the government, the Canadian government, so it's approved 100%. Then I can buy the tickets and move to Canada finally. But I want to talk about the process of how I learned English. I previously in another episode I said some things about this. I'm not going to tell you the story or how I first started learning English. Maybe someday we can talk about this no specifically, but I want to talk to you about what you can do if you're listening to this podcast and you are like me, not a first you don't have English as your first language. If you're from Brazil or from France, I don't know. I know I have some people listening from France and Japan, and also from in Singapore. And I know these places, although all over the world people speak English, but maybe you're listening to this podcast because you feel comfortable listening to someone who doesn't have a very difficult to understand English, and that's great. That's part of the practice, part of the things that I believe you should do. And as you already know, if you follow this podcast for some time, you know this podcast is about books and studies and productivity. And books is something that has really helped me over the years. But reading books doesn't help me when in terms of no, let me rephrase that. Reading books in English, because 99% of the books I read are in English. But reading in English hasn't helped me speaking a better English. And let me explain why. When you read, you become an excellent reader. Maybe you can write better. That's the whole idea behind reading more and reading more often because you know more subjects and you can talk to people and you understand what you're talking about. You can cite those books and you can maybe sound smart for people when you're talking about a subject that I remember reading a book about, the name of the book was Being Mortal by Dr. Atul Gawande, and he said in one of his chapters. No, but that's just trying to be cool. I learned English by listening and repeating everything I heard. That's how my teacher back in 15 years ago, that's the way he taught me. That's the way he said I should do. And it worked for me. Everything I listen to, when it's difficult, I try to repeat as much as possible. It's difficult for us. Maybe you're listening to this and you are a native speaker, and so you don't understand how difficult it is for us to listen to you guys speak sometimes. And we have difficulty not actually understanding 100% of what you're saying, but reproducing 100% of what you're saying. And that's my challenge every day. That's how I try to improve my English. It's by not just understanding, but proving to myself I understood by repeating it and trying to sound exactly how the native speaker sounded. And that's for you guys, tip number 1, in case you're doing this. Tip number 2 I have is do this consistently. Look, before I continue, I have a video on YouTube about English tips. How I learned English and how I studied English and how my English was developed. And I don't want to make this podcast about that as well. You can just go to my YouTube channel and check. It's so much faster. The video is like maybe it's less than 15 minutes. So in less than 15 minutes, you can, if you want to know how I learned English, you can go there and check it as well. But I want to use this podcast to you people who are trying to develop and trying to improve and trying to be better in English. And maybe you are one of my friends or one of the people who knows me, and you're on it. Let me give it a try. Maybe I don't speak English as well, but I can give it a try. Maybe listening to Silas' podcast. And welcome. First of all, thank you for being here. But I hope you understand more, and I hope you kind of understand the idea that listening and repeating is extremely important. The way I see, the only way you can actually prove that you understood something is by repeating it and doing this not 2 hours once a week, but doing this like for 5, 10, 15 minutes every single day. It is definitely going to improve your language and going to improve your English. Look, I have been for almost 2 years now. It was in the end of 2019. Yes, I think it was October. In October 2019, I started my life. I started to change my life physically. I started going to the gym. Oh my God, Silas, really? Yes. I was turning 30 or 31. Wait, I was turning 31, yes, in December. And before I say, you know what, I'm going to finish I'm going to officially start my 30s better than I finished my 20s. That was my idea. But going to the gym and starting this life, if you have no idea what to do, you don't know the name of the equipment, and you know how to I would say turn them off or turn them on. But if you don't know how to use them, it's very overwhelming. It can be very difficult. Then I went to YouTube and I learned from the best people I believe were the best, because the bodybuilders. No, if someone built a body, has that shape, they know one thing or two about diet, one thing or two about going to the gym and working out and doing this, the position that, and know the different kinds of sets and different kinds of possibilities you have once you get to the gym. And after doing this, I started going. I started doing something that will create in me accountability. Accountability means that you're doing something and people are now knowing that you're doing that something. And now people expect you to do that something. So I started posting these videos on these stories on Instagram. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, just go to @Silas Ollegario, which is my name. But then I started posting, like, Rebecca's my wife. Rebecca and I, we were going to the beach at the end of that year. And you said, you know what, I'm going to help. Of course, it wasn't possible to change your body in 2 months. I know. But I started with this hashtag, Beachbody. And I started posting videos because I remember it was 120 days before we actually went to the beach. So that's the time I have. This is 120 days. Is the number I'm gonna use as accountability. And I told everyone, and people started following me. And every day, of course, I wasn't going 7 days of the week, but I was going 5 or 6 times a week. And people, in the first day, Silas, what happened? Why didn't you go to the gym yesterday? It was Monday. You should have been at the gym. And it's so funny because you kind of think people are pressuring you, but no, that's not how I felt. I felt like people were actually I was creating accountability, and it helped me a lot. It helped me increase and helped me develop my body. Although I'm very far from the point where I wish to be, I'm so much closer than I was 18 months ago, because I started doing this thing consistently. And while I was actually looking on the internet for people, I found this video, this 30-minute video about how actors train their bodies to be, in shape for the movies. When I say actors, I mean like The Rock, Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans, and Chris Pratt. Oh my God, a lot of Chris's. Anyway, these guys who have to look strong and have to look ripped at the same time, and how they train, and exactly how they eat, and what's the frequency they train. And because people are different, I wasn't expected to do the same, but I was expecting to learn from them. And Michael B. Jordan, the actor, the Creed actor, he said, look, if you do, it's not gonna be in a month. Not going to be in 2 months. But if you give your body 8 to 9, maybe a year, if you eat consistently, eat well, drink a lot of water, and work out, your body will change. It's like it's impossible to avoid. Okay, with all that being said, this is not about gym. This is not about working out. This is not even about consistency. But this point of our conversation, it actually is. Learning English, I believe, or learning a second language, maybe a third language if you're too smart. I believe in consistency. I wouldn't be able to speak English today as a Brazilian born in Porto Alegre, a city And my parents, they didn't speak English. My sister does not speak English. I don't remember any of my cousins speaking English. I just remember a couple of friends, which, by the way, they all speak English less than I do today. Not because I have talent or because I know something extra. No, absolutely not. I'm not extra smart. I'm not extra, wasn't an extra effort, but it was a consistent effort. And I tried my whole, for the past 15 years, I've been trying to sound as native as possible. I've been trying to, sound as more realistic and more perfectly as an American or Canadian or whatever, because that's how I decided to learn. And believe me, it has helped. I went from a guy who knew, I remember my first English class ever. When I say my first English class ever, I mean the private teacher I had, not the one from school. But I remember at my first English class, I knew the numbers from 1 to 20, and some words, random words, like I knew couch and table. I knew black, blue, red, and apple, banana, coffee. This kind of words, all like this. I had no idea how to create a sentence. Maybe I knew where are you from? Or as you learn in Brazil a lot, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. And you? That's all I knew in English. And then I had this thing that my teacher told me, like I should be listening to English and trying to repeat it, and this kind of stuff. And I did. And after 1 year of studying English and doing this and listening to stuff and watching videos, and we didn't have YouTube back then, but watching TV and watching movies without subtitles, with all that stuff, and trying to repeat and trying to recreate what I was listening, I got to learn the language. And then the desire to improve is increasing all the time. Then I started reading in English. And once you start reading in English, that's what happened to me. I don't want to read in Portuguese anymore. It makes no sense to me. I've been reading. I have been reading a book this month because it is part of a course I'm doing here in Brazil. And the book, John Maxwell book, very good book about leadership, about the 15 laws of leadership. And the book is in Portuguese, but that's the only reading I have in Portuguese. Otherwise, as you know, the last episode we had was about the book Being Immortal by Arturo Wande. The next episode is probably going to be about the book I've ordered and it has arrived, and I haven't started yet, but I'm going to start tomorrow morning, by James Clear, Atomic Habits. So listening to stuff and trying to speak to everybody, lose the shame, because I know so many people are afraid of making a mistake. Anyone you're afraid of making mistakes, you kind of lose all your power. You kind of, okay, what's the point of doing this? Because I'm afraid. So if I'm afraid, I'm not doing it. So if I'm not going to do it, why am I studying? Why am I trying? And yeah, I don't know. I just think that I kind of took a different turn that I was supposed to in this podcast. I just want you to be consistent in studying English and listening to English. And as I told you in the beginning, for the past 2 weeks, I have gone back to the life of teaching English, and they're gonna be here on the podcast in the month of July. Their names are Marliane and Thais. They are my new partners, my new bosses. They are the owners of the school I've been working at for the past 2 weeks. English school, school 100% online. They're not sponsoring this video, okay? I'm just talking to you guys about my life. And Marlene has been a teacher for a long time, so much longer than me, maybe 30 years already. Thais is not a teacher, but Thais lives in LA. She went there for an MBA. She has a green card right now. She lives in Los Angeles. And they're going to be here on the podcast talking about their English experiences and how they learn the language, how they have this thing that we need to create a school that is 100% online where people can lose their fears, and they can open their mouth and speak English, And because I just hope this kind of subject is interesting to you, because I can use another example. My wife Rebecca, also Brazilian like me. She speaks Portuguese, obviously. She learned French when she was young, Alliance Française. Then she learned English when she was an adult already. And she learned English very fast. Maybe in 1 year she was speaking English, not as well as she is today, but she learned enough to to communicate herself with some people. And then we started practicing. We started speaking English every time we were the two of us, messaging, and in the car, and when we were alone, all the time speaking English. And then we started watching videos and movies. I kind of made her do it. Watch videos without subtitles, not with English subtitles, because I don't believe you want to be a good reader. I believe you want to listen and understand, and then being able to repeat. And now she's doing this. And then we had a test. She went extremely well in some part of the test. This international test, IELTS. She went better than I did. She did better than I did, and that shows you how it is not about talent. It's not about oh my God, but you learn, you're a teenager. I'm 40 years old and I have no chance. One of my students said this to me. Teacher, I'm 62. I'm just here to be with my wife. I'm not gonna learn. I said, man, come on, shut up. You are gonna learn if you want to. Of course, you're not gonna learn with that attitude, but you can do it. And yeah, I believe this is it. I want you to have the learning of a new language, in this case English, as a goal for the next maybe 12 months. And if you're listening to this podcast, that means you can already do this kind of stuff. And if it's still difficult for you, continue to listen to us, continue following and having other sources of podcasts and other sources of English, and so you can improve and you can actually increase your vocabulary, increase the way you speak, and your pace and everything. And that's pretty much it. Yes, it's 9:04 right now. It's been 23 minutes I've been talking to you, and I'm about to wait. I just got lost here. I'm about to watch the game, and because I'm gonna watch the game, I'm gonna have to turn it off. Okay. So normally I try to limit this podcast to 25 minutes, but it's gonna be a little shorter today. Okay. Guys, have a great week. See you again on Saturday. Remember, every Saturday on my YouTube channel, okay, new video. Every day on my Instagram at Silas Ollegario, new reels. Maybe, and even I've been putting English tips, okay, around 1 p.m. Eastern time. And that's it. See you tomorrow. No, see you next Saturday. Oh my God, I'm losing. See you next time. Remember, Saturday, Instagram, and that's it. See you next week. Bye-bye.